going to go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and record this so that way you guys can watch this on a Friday night. No, I'm just kidding. So that way we're going to share some awesome things. So hopefully you'll go back and find it valuable and you can rewatch it later, or maybe somebody on your team isn't able to be here, so you can push the recording onto them. So hi, hello everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. We're here to show you how Xero can help reach, connect, and engage within your company. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And as we dive in here today, we're going to be learning about broadcast and personas, which are two of the tools that Xero uses to support targeted communication. And I'm Amy Brashears. I will be your host for today's session. I'm on the marketing team here at Xero, and I am joining you from a very hot and very humid Louisiana. I don't recommend visiting here right now. It's miserable. But I know some of you have probably gotten emails from me. I promise I'm not an AI robot. I'm a real person. So hi. And then I am joined today by my wonderful colleague, Melissa. She has been with the company for about 5 years now, and she's been in various areas and departments within the company. She is personally responsible for bringing on 55 companies to the Xero family in all different sectors and industries. So she'll be a familiar face to a lot of you because you all are her pride and joy for coming to Xero. Okay, and in today's session, we are going to give you a brief overview of Xero, and then Melissa will discuss the best practices for reaching, connecting, and engaging. And then finally, we'll round out today's session with a Q&A. So please, please, please use the Q&A box to submit your questions, upvote your favorites, and then we'll get to as many as we can towards the end. I know many of you on the call are longtime clients with us in Xero, while others of you might be new. So for those of you that are new, I'll go over who we are as Xero, just a little bit of snippet. We've been around for several years, but we are a growing organization and leading in the industry in the ultimate digital workplace tools, which exciting. Our primary purpose is to distribute knowledge in a targeted and personalized way to unite employees and increase efficiency. Our headquarters is in New York. However, I'm calling from Louisiana. So we are a global remote workforce of about 50 members and counting. We are growing, which we love that. We serve several clients across every size, band, and industry who come to us to improve team communications, collaboration, and culture. So now, enough about all that small talk. We'll get to what you came to see, and I'm going to pass it over to Melissa, and she's going to show you all the fun stuff with broadcast and personas. Take it away, Melissa.
Brilliant. While I get myself switched over, we're going to switch screens. So like Amy said, we have a chat box. Some of you guys have used that. We have a Q&A box. In your chat, would you give me one or two letters, a Y if yes, you are an Xero client, you have used Xero before, any of those things, but also you can drop an N if you are new to Xero, if you have never, maybe you've never been on an Xero platform. That just kind of gives me an idea where we want to chat, just so that I don't leave anybody behind. Okay, great. We got a good little mix.
Yeah, we do. I like the newish current client. I like that one.
Lauren Sullivan, you're in good company. No, Susanna, you did great. You're doing great. Okay. Well, here's what I'll tell you. Even for my Y group, you may see some things that are newer, or you didn't know that you could do that. I even know with like personas, what we're going to get into in a little bit, even that has evolved for us. For my clients, you know that our updates and upgrades are included with the platform. So if you were a customer even 6 months ago, there are things that have evolved and changed. So we're going to look at that. For our new clients, you might be learning right along with them, or for our folks who are just evaluating, you might be exactly on the same page as some of the folks who have been with us for a while now. What we're going to do is this. We're going to get into the platform just to kind of give everybody an idea. Amy kind of sits at the crossroads. She's a lot of times our first face of people who are evaluating, asking questions. Amy, talk to me a little bit. I prepped her that I was going to ask this question, so she has decent answers. Talk to me about some of the questions. She holds up her notebook. That people who you've been talking to recently the questions they have, like, hey, we're looking for a platform that can do this. We're trying to solve those sorts of things, so that as you folks are listening, you may hear something that's very similar. We're going to try and cover as much of that as possible. I'll stop talking. Amy, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Melissa. So I do hear a lot. People come to us usually because they have pain points. And so that's our job, is to try to fix those pain points and show them how we can help. So recent ones that would come to mind is specifically to help with personas, broadcasts, and even alerts. Let's say a company that they're all across the United States, they have multiple offices, but they only want to reach a specific office in Miami. And in that Miami office, they only want to talk to the managers. And so they want to know how to just get very granular and just specifically reach out to them. And if you want to take it to the next step, they also want to only reach out to the people who can speak Spanish.
Mm-hmm. That would be a yes with personas and broadcasts. Yeah.
Yeah. So people come to us with such specific things, requesting and asking about that. Another couple things, I know you're going to get to all of them, but would be like Women's History Month, and they want to reach out to just only the women within the company all across the world. Another one would be an instance here in Louisiana. We just had a huge power outage and it was a mess. So for those who would be going into office, how do we alert those who would be, there's no power, don't come to work? So how to let those people know just for that specific location. So things like that people come to us instead of like, hey, we sent out an email. Obviously, people don't check their emails or their inbox and they miss this notification. How can we make sure that people are seeing this and they're getting to the correct people at the right time?
Brilliant. So that's a yes. All those things are yeses as far as use case getting solved with a tool like personas and a tool like broadcast. We're going to start here. We're going to do a quick history of comms. We know prior to intranets, our best way of getting hold of somebody is walking by their desk, is sending them an email, sending them a pigeon with something tied to its foot, and hopefully you have a good catch on birds. Essentially, the comms are global. We are going to send it to everybody. We hope that everyone sees it. We hope that the right people see it. We hope that the people who aren't supposed to see it can filter it out. That's essentially what a lot of folks who come to us who have no intranet, or perhaps something, an intranet that people have failed to adopt. So that's global comms. With a tool like Xero, the next advent is essentially the ability to do targeting through spaces. So we know in Xero, you can have unlimited numbers of spaces. They can all be different. You might have a space like this one for HR. You might have one for your Miami branch. You might have one for the English college, whatever it may be, for a project group. So the next step in comms is that you can get targeted communications through something like a space, where let's say HR is going to send an announcement about open enrollment. This may go to everybody who's in the space. That may be the whole company. If this was like a branch at a bank, this may be just to the Shreveport branch. This may be an announcement that says, hey, please don't come in today. We have no power. So that's a next level of targeting that we're able to do. The newest advent of that targeting that we allow for here on the Xero platform is scrolling across the top. It's this broadcast feature. The things that are nice about broadcasts, we're going to click on one, is that one, it gives you the ability to do on-the-fly announcements, those things that are urgent, those things that are separate from like, hey, just everybody good to know. It allows you to carry forward some of the things that we get used to for some of my clients who are already Xero members, who can say, hey, we want to see, did everybody know to not come into the office? So we have these analytics, these extend into something like a broadcast, unlike a Slack where you put it on Slack or you put it on Teams and you also send your hopes and prayers with it. This allows your admin team to be able to see, hey, we did okay, Jane is the only person who knows to not come in. It leverages a lot of the tools that your announcements, that stuff that your team is used to sending with like regular content. So required reading, the ability to ask questions, to comment, to tag people. All those things are now part of a thing we can do with broadcasts. So why are broadcasts important? I think it's pretty straightforward. Actually, I'm gonna bring us back to a slideshow. Let's click it forward, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are some of the main areas that we're hoping to solve with broadcasts and personas. One, companies are growing. The thing I always tell my clients is what you have on day 1 is never what you have on day 100. You want to be able to add additional branches. You want to expand into the UK. To be able to do that, we need to not recreate the same problems we've always had. We need to make sure that we have that targeted messaging, the stuff that can be communicated without adding noise. Number 2, companies have growing pressure to perform. Meaning if somebody can do it on an Instagram app, they kind of expect that they can do it with work technology. So being able to go, hey, yes, you can use this search to pull up messages. Hey, you can tag people. The things that people are used to being able to do in their everyday lives, they are hoping to find those things here on the platform. Something like personas and broadcasts allows that same tagging, that same targeting, all those things that people are kind of used to at this point with other messaging that is targeted and directed. You need to be able to do it as well. And then number 3, companies are consolidating. And by that, I mean, I get a lot of clients who are like, hey, this is our intranet portal. We have a client portal. We have an alumni portal. We have another portal for our vendors. We have a second thing over here for our board of directors. The nice thing that Xero offers is the ability to bring all those portals together. Those separate groups don't even have to know that the others exist. You can still leverage something like personas or broadcasts to create really defined groups so that you can have really direct messaging about any of those things to any of those people. One platform, everybody's in it. We are going to we're going to get into the nitty gritty of broadcast, but before I do, just know if you have questions about literally anything I've said, this is a great point to hit that Q&A box. It's down there at the bottom. Nobody can see your screen, so nobody can see as you are looking to find it. It's right there at the bottom next to chat. If you have a question about anything that I've said, something like, hey, can we reach these people? Can we include those people? What if these people only have a Gmail? Can I still use this platform? Can we still send messaging to them? The answer is absolutely yes. So fill that out. We're going to come here. We're going to look at a broadcast. So we had this one. So when would I use a broadcast? Plain and simple, I would use a broadcast, and these are by definition for us. These are administrator-enabled messages to the community via email and notification. This is not Melissa logging in and being like, I would like to tell everyone. No. Broadcast can go out to spaces. And we're going to look at that in a second. You can send it out to individuals. So you may say, hey, this random smattering of 6 people, I want to send this broadcast out. Or you might send it to a persona. And we're going to look at that, what that is in a minute. So when would I use this? If I had an urgent message, like Amy said, hey, we got a power outage and I need you to be able to sort this out between the different things, you know, like open enrollment versus tornado versus a policy I need to sign off on, which is more important. I would use a broadcast if we were hoping to solidify our communication channels. I have one client who came in and they're like, the only way to make sure that people get messaging now is just redundancy. We have to send it to Slack, to Teams, to email, to text message. Use broadcast to bring one more thing back onto the Xero platform. People know if they go nowhere else, they can come here, and it is a jumping off place for everything. And then the last reason I would use a broadcast is if I have a message for a group that doesn't fit nicely into a space. So like Amy said, we had a company that was like wanting to send messaging out to the ladies in the organization. They didn't have a ladies space, but they were able to create a broadcast to go out to that group. They didn't have to make a space, put everybody in it, use it for this one message. Will we keep it? We don't know. They were able to send a broadcast. So like this one, we're going to create one together actually. We've talked about, of course, umpteen examples at this point, but reminders to the team about upcoming due dates. I have an organization, their content creators are called librarians. So if you want to send a reminder to all the librarians that they need to review all of the content that's coming up, A broadcast might be a great tool for that. Parking notices, system-wide outages. We're actually going to create one together. This is a broadcast. If you've used Xero before, you know the same rich text editor that you're used to. If you haven't, and you are like me, and your college degree is in hospitality management and not computer engineering, if you can make a Word document, you can do this. So this is a broadcast screen. You can choose to toggle on, toggle off required reading, comments, likes. All of these things are still here. You can attach files. We're going to make one together. We're just going to call this garage maintenance. This headline is going to say garage maintenance. There we go. We'll use that. It was so good. Let's use it twice. Here we go. Some of the things, so this is one that says, hey, we got maintenance in the garage. This is really only going to affect 3 people. We even know their names. Some of the things you can do is leverage some of the features, like I said, that you can use in regular content. You can tag people. You can tag other pieces of content. Let's add Steven here. Steven Spears. Let's do Nick. There we go. We can tag or not tag, totally fine. We can add an image if we want. Let's even see what pulls up with garage. This is like a lovely. There we go. We love an image. It's a haunting garage. We want that one in there. Okay, beautiful. So this is going to come out as a broadcast. This second tab right here will allow you to choose from 3 different options. Personas is what we're going to dig into in a minute. We can obviously still utilize our spaces, no extra work. We know all the people in HRs who we want to talk to. Beautiful. We could always add them. We don't want that today. Today, we're just going to focus on really Brenda. There you go. We got Steven. And we got Nick. If we decided for some reason, hey, safety committee, you should know about this garage issue, we could absolutely post that. You could keep going to your little heart's content. You could do any mixture of these things, but then we're going to either send now, schedule for later, save as draft. We'll just go ahead and hit send. That is going to come out here within the platform to mobile. You'll have all the same notifications that you would normally have. In this case, the nice thing about this is, unlike dropping this in a Slack channel and being like, good luck, Brenda, hopefully you saw this. Your admin team, the team that's responsible for this, will now have the ability to check and see, nobody's looked at anything just yet other than me, whether or not anybody has seen it or not. Okay, again, we're gonna move into personas, but if there's anything that I've covered that sparks a question like, hey, could we use it to do this? How would we address broadcasts like this? That Q&A box is going to be great for that. Before we talk about personas, I do want to talk about when I would not use a broadcast. One, if I needed some sort of version control. Folks who are familiar with the platform know that, let's find one that's got a lot of stuff on it, this one. Know that all of your content will come with a version history. You can see comparative versions, you can see who ghost wrote versus who wrote something, you can roll back. The only version that's going to be searchable and findable is going to be the most current version, but it's going to keep up to 100 copies of everything in advance. That's great for things like policies, documents, files, all those things that will version control. I would not use broadcasts with the expectation that I'm going to see an evolving version history of something like that. If that was a policy, I would probably drop that into like an article or a file or a wiki. I would not use broadcast for something that I wanted a version history on, or I wanted to maintain. 2, if you're just straight up trying to have a conversation, if you're doing a lot of pinging and back and forth and you got a group that has some sort of, I would use a chat instead. So create a chat, create a group. That's going to be different from broadcast. Obviously, broadcast has commenting, so you can still have a conversation there. But I would use broadcast differently from if I had like a project group where we were having an ongoing discussion. Obviously, you can still do that, like I said, in the broadcast. But as far as like an effective place to keep going back and forth to and refer to, that chat is going to be safer for that. Okay, perfect, Matt. I see that. Great. We are going to come. I've noticed that. We're going to come back to it. Thank you. Thank you, Matt. Okay, let's talk about personas. So just to refer back, let's edit this one. The first option on here is a persona. Who are these people? Where are these people? Who made this? Great questions. A persona, even for my clients who have been with Xera for a long time, a persona is maybe newer to your vocabulary. A persona is the ability to create a group based on any profile field for singular or multiple uses. So like this is an example of a profile. If you are a client, you may have none of these things. If you are a prospective client, you may be like, the thought of having to read favorite music makes my eyes cross. You do not have to have any of these things. But you may see that we have languages on here. We have expertise on here. We have location, we have this person's in the executive committee. This person is technically listed as a senior sales manager. These are all things you can customize. I know our CEO was just talking to somebody who they had a field for license plate. They also have a garage. And so if somebody's double parked, if somebody left their lights on, all these fields, you can determine if they're searchable. One, you can search for those people. Their names will start to pop up if they have Spanish anywhere on their profile. So one, know that you can search for these folks. So that's part one. Number two, a little secret thing. Not every field that is technically part of a user's profile has to appear on their public profile. Again, I'll give you another peek. We've got some work stuff. We've got some recognition. We got my favorite Led Zeppelin here. For my folks who are consolidating, I'm going to come here to edit my profile. Know that you can add some fields to your edit side that don't necessarily have to appear on your public homepage or on your public profile. It's like in this case, we added some toggles for client. We added toggle for alumni, for seasonal staff. You might have some toggles for volunteer. You might have them for intern. It might not even be a toggle. It could be, again, that you have license plate on here, but that doesn't appear on their public profile. The information's still stored within the platform, but it's not appearing live. So you don't have to have these messy profiles. But because these fields exist, you can still search by them. You can create a targeted client list, a targeted, anybody who is an on-call substitute, if you are one of our higher ed or educational clients. Those are things that can be here. Perhaps even the actual user cannot mess with those toggles, but you as admins can set, hey, this is a client, this is a vendor. If I need to search for a vendor, I can pull that up. I can make a list of those folks. Okay. So we're going to make this list together. Again, some things that you may want to do. People who can speak American Sign Language. People who are part of Android development. Anybody who has Coca-Cola as their client. Remember, it can be public or private. So let's make a persona together. Let's do it. Let's come to the control panel. Kind of in reference to one of the questions that got asked, because we're coming into the control panel, again, this is not something that is just carte blanche anybody can make. If you have permissions to do it, you can do it. So I'm going to pick personas. You see our San Diego one in here already. I'm going to create a persona. Okay, gorgeous. So if, let's say, you wanted to create a list of IT managers, like Amy talked about, we want a list of all the managers. I could pick, well, one, we see our client field equals yes. It's going to pull up Melissa. These are some of the secret fields that we talked about. They didn't show up on the public side. Those things are all here. But let's say, like we said, that's going to be occupation. Let's say contains manager. Wowza, we got 10 people. There's no other conditions involved. So these people come from marketing, they come from sales, they're from the executive team. Maybe that is the list you absolutely want. Maybe you want to make it a more specific list. Perhaps you want it to be a department equals, this is going to pull up all the options you have. You don't even have to start manually typing. With the department field that you already have on your profile, it's going to give you the option. So I want just HR managers. Amazing. 4. Beautiful. HR managers. Wow. Let's do this right, people. Okay, there we go. We might hit save. Yes, we love this persona. If you are a client who has been with us and you've been using personas or you have not seen this at all, this may all be brand new. Amazing. That's great. But we're going to take it another level because even our folks who have been starting to use personas, even this has evolved. A thing that very quickly happens goes, hey, we want to get even more granular. What if I want it to be managers from HR or IT? Okay, let's do it. Department equals IT. Okay, so our list just said 0. Why? Well, because this allows, exactly. Agus got it. This allows and or. So it's going to start switching. And you might go, no. This is not the people I want. I want just managers from both of these. So a thing that we have just released, I'm going to get rid of this one, and I'm going to get rid of this one, is the ability to add groups of conditions. So now we can do, before we could just do and, or we could just do or. So you are in HR and IT, or you are in HR, or you are in IT. Did I do those all? Okay. Now we can do multiple conditions and a mixture of ands and ors. So occupation is manager and, or in this case, we're only but and they are either department. Why do I keep losing it? There we go. HR department equals IT. Great. We have an and up here. We need it to be both of these, but it can be either one of these. This is newer. The ability to get even more granular in how specific you can target. And like Amy said earlier, maybe it is all of these things, plus we want language. So we want it to be and contains Spanish. Whoa, hello. Okay, so we don't have anybody who does either of those things, but I know I'm somewhere in there. I forgot where I marked myself. There I am. I am an executive. I would be the only person on the list because I match all the conditions in the way that they have been mentioned. Ooh, let's see, Laura and the ability, letters, cut down. I'm going to come right back to this line. Hold on. My goldfish brain went all over the place. Okay, so that's personas. Here's one more thing. If I have not already exceeded a person's capacity to hear me talk nonstop, we have the ability to include an action. What does this mean? Glad you asked. In addition to being able to just make the list to use with broadcast, I'm sending messages to these Spanish-speaking IT managers in HR or IT. We now have the ability to use these same lists to be really dynamic in doing things like adding them to a space. Hey, we've actually gotten so many folks who speak Spanish, we kind of like to make a Spanish language space. Brilliant. You make that space, you can add them to a brand new space. It's going to move every single person over to that. We're going to pretend Paris office is a Spanish-speaking space. And you might even set a role for them. Every person in here, we're going to make them a moderator. Or we're going to make them a member, whatever it may be. The other option is you can assign a site role. So perhaps you end up with a whole bunch of interns suddenly, and you have interns throughout the platform. They're in all kinds of departments. You need them to have an intern role. You've never had this before, but now you're doing, or you have a mentor role. You have a bunch of mentors. You want to give them access to be able to do all these things. You might create a brand new role type that is mentor, you've already set all the things that they can click and do and power. Really easily, we make this list, we assign it all at one time. Now there isn't like, okay, I think Brenda is one, I think Steven is one. This will do it all at one time. The other nice thing about this is that now you have a dynamic list. So as profile fields change, that list gets updated. So you are no longer in HR, now you're in marketing. You're no longer part of this list anymore. That profile field has changed. You are removed from that list. There isn't one sad person who's trying to remember all the steps you got to do to move folks around. Things to know. Let me make sure I'm following my notes along. Remember, personas is not a thing you have to create all the time. Because as you recall, on that broadcast, you still had the option to pick individual names. You had the option to pick spaces that already exist. So you don't have to recreate work. If you're like, no, I have an HR space, I just want to send them stuff. Great. This is only if you have a group that doesn't fit nicely into a space or anywhere else already. And you can use it one time, you can use it over and over again. So when would I use personas? Exactly that. If I had, you know, a group of folks that I either need to really quickly move into a space. For my folks who are growing, you've added new locations. That makes life easier, even without involving the communications component. And then also I would not use personas if I already had a group that existed. No need to recreate. You absolutely can. Nobody's going to stop you, but the system's going to do that for you anyway. I know we have rapid fire through broadcast and personas, and we have some questions that I want to get to. Before I do that, Amy, my brilliant colleague, anything that I missed that we need to cover? I know we talked about some, we wanted to mention mobile. Anything that we need to mention about broadcast or personas that I've missed?
No, I don't think anything to mention. I would just like to bring forward, I know Matt had mentioned, but everything is very admin-based, permission-based. So depending on what admins and permissions you have, that depends on who can post it, who can see it. So as much as we love Joe from the maintenance shop, we probably might not want him posting a broadcast unless he's got donuts in the shop. And then yes, we can broadcast that to everybody. But so it all depends on permissions and admin. Also for like a broadcast about Shreveport, power is out. How are we going to see that if I don't have electricity and can't log on to my desktop? Well, with our mobile app, these do reflect on the mobile app as well. So for frontline workers who are out in the field constantly and only working from like the mobile version of this, correct me if I'm wrong, Melissa, but I'm pretty sure all the broadcasts do come over on the mobile app, and they do get those alerts there as well.
Actually, this is a brilliant question, especially if you are still really evaluating Xero. And I'm going to come back, Lauren. That's why I have that screen pulled up. Let me show you this. That's not where I wanted that to go. Here we go. Okay. If you are familiar with the Xero site, you know you have Page Builder. This is where we're doing all the drag and drop. In case you, like me, immediately forgot what we were looking at, it was this page. We also do have this for the mobile app. And this will allow you, the mobile app is something that you can customize. You can make it as simple or as not simple as you like. I talked to one client today, their board of directors are truly like herding cats. And they're like, if we could have a mobile app that had literally 3 buttons, that would be great. They can do that. This, the things that allow you to, are widgets that allow you to pull broadcasts will also allow you to pull them on your mobile app. So to Amy's points, if you have folks who are out in the field and you didn't want to change that experience for them, they're never at a desktop, you have that ability to customize and make that an experience for them, if that's what you want it to look like here on the mobile app as well. Great questions. Truly also, I take a lot of pride in letting folks know that I am maybe the least talented, least creative person on our team. So please know if you have questions, if there's anything that you're like, she said this and I don't know what she meant. Please know you can always send a question to us, info@xerosolutions.com. Our support community. I'm going to come to that one as well. Our support community is a great spot also for looking at documentation. Everything that we talked about today lives here on our support community, personas, broadcasts. If you are a visual reader, if you need somebody talking you through it video style, that stuff is here. And we keep it up to date. So all the things that we update and change and involve with the documentation is also here. Know that as well. We're going to transition into Q&A time so that we can address Lauren's question. We just got a question about mobile, but I'm going to let Amy kind of guide that part because I know she has some questions that she may have also received prior. So I'll stop talking.
Yes.
Amy, you go for it.
Thank you, Melissa, so much for going through that. I know that was a lot to get out and spill, but you are just so wonderful at storytelling, and you made me laugh and smile so much. So I hope everybody appreciated it and loved it just as much as I did. So
anytime.
So the couple of questions that came through, I know you said you wanted to get to Lauren's question. Do we have the ability to type in letters to cut down on the number of drop downs on the read through?
So this is not giving me an option other than the drop down. There are some fields, and let's see, it doesn't, so that one's just that one. Let's see, some of the ones that I know, because that one's a pick list, so it's not going to let you type. Let's try one that is occupation. So this one is, because of the kind of field that it is, this one will let you, with the pick list, it's going to present the list. So depending on the field type on the profile, and that's, again, we can dig into the nitty gritty of it. It will give you different options for how you can cut things down or not, because it's going to either have a set list that you can pick from, and in which case it's just going to give you the pick list, or it will be an open field and that you can, because my title isn't technically just manager, it's executive sales or senior sales manager. So this one won't start populating things for you, but that depends on the field.
Thank you. And then another question we got was, is the mobile option, is it by default or is it manual?
Oh, having the mobile app, and anonymous attendee, if I miss what you were asking, also feel free to drop something in there and say, girl, that's not what I meant. So with the mobile app, the Communifier app is what comes standard. The actual page builder for the mobile app is the thing, and that was, in case you're like, what is she talking about? And you are like me. This mobile page builder does not come standard. You will have the freedom to arrange it, create different widgets. If you have nothing on this page, it's going to default to the activity stream on the mobile app. Now, the mobile app is different from being web responsive. So if you have like a tablet or you just are addicted to Safari on your iPhone, that's going to pull up the web responsive version of what's on your desktop. There's nothing you have to do for that. This mobile is just if you want to get more into the nitty gritty of customizing that mobile experience, you can do that with the Communifier app, or if you have a white label app. So if you have visiting media white label app, you will still have this option to customize your app. Mobile option question asker, if I slightly missed what you were asking, feel free to drop in a clarifying question. Happy to come back to that.
I love that. And I think that's one thing we hear almost all the time with Xero is that people love, because we are so customizable. They can truly make it to what they want people to see. It's just, of course, we love what we sell, but that's, a lot of people love that part about Xero. Another one that came in before was, is there an option to send automated emails along with the broadcast? So like an alert to be sent out through email and through the system whenever a broadcast gets posted.
Yeah, and somebody stop me if I'm absolutely incorrect, but that should also come to email. We have a consolidation of things that come to email in addition to our web notifications and our mobile notifications. So there should be a rundown of those things as well. A thing I will also point out, in addition to broadcasts, we're going to keep coming to my favorite article right here. If you are brand new or you have never looked at this as a client, know that you do have also the option to do a custom notification. You can send that here. You can send that to email. You can drop it on a wall. And now you have the option, I don't have it on this profile, but to send that to Slack and Teams. So that's another thing you can also do in some worlds, a custom notification around something that already lives on your site. Like, hey, y'all, open enrollment will close if you do not have insurance. Like, it's going to. you may decide, hey, I want to do this via notification versus broadcast, or do a broadcast and also do these other things. So you should be able to have that either way, but just know there's some differences between sending a custom notification and sending a broadcast.
Perfect. I love that. Another question that's come in is from JR. Can you lock people with specific personas from different spaces than their persona?
Yes. Yes. So because, and again, JR, if I ask to the left, you redirect me. But yes, just because a person lives in the HR space doesn't mean they can't be in a mentor persona. So the nice thing is you can do and or. So somebody's name, if I was making a broadcast and I picked that I wanted it to go to the HR space and I wanted it to go to JR, technically you might be on both lists. You might be also on the HR space. I'm sending it to JR, the person, but I'm also sending it to our folks who have been here for more than 10 years. And that also goes to JR. So yes, you might exist in a few of those different categories. The spaces don't have to affect the folks that you put on a persona.
Perfect.
And even just for my, I know we have a question about a wiki, and today we're doing personas and broadcasts, but just know that, yes, sometimes there's a lot of things on this platform that with a little movie magic, and by that I mean CSS sometimes, you can switch whether a panel lives on the left or the right. If that's something that you're like, I have the vision, but I need some help, that may be a question to reach out to either your implementation manager, your client success manager, or my favorite place, at the bottom of the support community, there is a place for a private ticket. You can say, send help. I have a question about this. And the folks who are available to answer that question will get right back to you. So.
Another one that's come through is, can you search or report out those who have read and required reading without going back to the original post? I love this one.
Can you search or report out those who have a required reading without going back to the original post? Amy, I may need you to say that in a different way for me, for my brain.
So for them to see who has seen the post or the broadcast, do they have to go back to that specific broadcast, or is there a way through analytics for them to see like just abroad who's seen it? I think the answer is you have to go back to the post to see specifically who's seen that post.
Mm-hmm.
But again, our platform is magical, so I might be wrong here.
No, I think you are correct. So whether it is for the post, there are all kinds of analytics that live in the platform. And a thing that's very exciting is that our analytics are going to get, we have a bunch of fun analytics stuff is what I'll say, coming very soon. Yes. Dr. Biondi, if you are looking for analytics on that post, yes, you do want to come to that for content statistics, but based on your access, well, I guess you'd have access to the control panel. Yes, you would come to that. My team could be like, Melissa, here's some expansive things. So I may have some follow-ups for you afterwards, but it's my understanding, yes, you would come to that post, pull up those content statistics around that broadcast, who has or has not looked at
it. He's just said, yes, interpreting my question correctly. Great. Sometimes a lot of posts, they tend to get buried a little. So I know whenever somebody has like a required reading, that as soon as they click that they've read it, you do as an admin get that alert that somebody has read it. So you do get notifications that way. So I do know that could be a helpful tool as well. And I know, Melissa, that some people are like, well, if I have the availability to post a broadcast in this space for this department, they might not necessarily need it to be posting in another department. So just because you have permissions set on one page specifically doesn't necessarily mean that they have to have the permissions for the other one. Am I correct?
Correct. Yeah. It's still going to defer to your ability to do those things. You will still have the ability to also pull a broadcast if for some reason you're like, hey, we need to either update this. Oh, great question. The broadcast feature is released. So this is out. Personas is released. Broadcasts are released. If for some reason you're like, well, we have this platform and we don't have broadcasts, that may be a question to touch base with your CSM. It may be something to do with your specific site and version controls, but we can talk about that. But if you're like, when will these things come? They are out. They are live and fresh right now.
Right.
So those things are all available for you. I have already lost what I was talking about. Clearly, it was not that important.
It's okay. I think you're just answering that just because you have permissions in one space doesn't mean you can post to others. So
yes,
the answer is
yes, you can edit broadcast, you can delete broadcast, you can pull those things down. So you're also not stuck with something floating on the internet if it's not for you or it's incorrect or something like that needs to be updated.
yes, absolutely. Let me see if there's any other questions that have come through. Is there anything else anybody would like to see or go over? I know that just, I know we've talked about like, 3 years ago, an event happened for everyone that almost the entire world had to go remote. And so because of that, a lot of us have what, is called remote fatigue, that we had to scramble and get things in place for work. Like you had to have this app and this app and this app. And so now companies are exhausted because they have so many apps and so many things that they have to use we have to use this platform to get this alert out. We have to use this one to send this one out to this people. And so the beautiful thing with Xero is that we bring all that together and it's one place to deal with all of that noise. It's just one platform to push all that out in one place. So
exactly. And with the scalability for our folks who are researching Xero, sometimes the thing that makes folks scared is that from day 1 to day 2, you're going to force a change and it's going to really alienate some departments who are committed to how they've been working. So the nice thing about this is you may have a vision for your change. It doesn't mean you have to do it all on day 1. You may still keep some elements of Slack. You may still keep some elements of Teams. You may have some things. We have some integrations with Twilio that will allow you to push to SMS as well. I know we have some teams who are like, smartphone is really problematic for us. You can keep those things till you are ready to consolidate. Just know you have those tools here. If you've never used them before, this is a great time to start playing around with them. If you are not ready for them, they are there waiting for you. And we are going to continue to develop communication tools, things that make it more consistent with experiences they're having on other platforms, Facebook app, Instagram app. We're going to still make sure that the day you're ready for it, it's consistent with what you'd expect for other technology that's out at the moment. So.
yes. And this is the last question. We're kind of running up on time. We have a little bit left, but you kind of answered this just a second ago, but someone had asked, can we send text messages and Slack alerts for critical alerts? So is that an option that we can do?
Yeah, so with those custom notifications, I apologize because I didn't have it set up on this site. First of all, yes, using that Twilio integration, you can loop in your SMS folks. You can send custom notifications to them that way and bypass the app altogether. Obviously, here, mobile app, email, but you can also send it to Slack channels and soon to be, if not already, Teams channels. So consolidation, rather than having to go out to all these places, you hit send on one spot, it goes out to all those channels for you, redirects everybody back into the platform, unless you have handcrafted, like some of them will give you the option to craft the notification, which case you can read the notification right there. But if you were linking back to something within the platform, it would pull them back in this way. That also helps with adoption, making sure people aren't reading it in 25 places. We want those analytics to see who's looked at it and who hasn't.
Yes. I love that. Okay. I know one more came through. I'm going to go ahead and just share my screen really quick. But yes, to the answer of will this be posted on Xero YouTube channel? Yes. And then everyone here will be receiving a follow-up email with the recording of this as well. And if for some reason anything happens, please reach out to us at info@xerosolutions.com. And also for anyone who would like to continue learning more, we have online support and community with a lot of knowledge on there, resources, how-to videos, guides, documentation. So please get on there and explore, have fun, learn more, and check that out. And then also, the link is my.xerosolutions.com. And like I said, we'll be sending out a recording of this. On that note, Melissa, you're beautiful, you're wonderful. Thank you so much for showing us all the things. Again, I appreciated it and loved it. So I hope everyone else did too. I hope you all took something away from today, how to reach, connect, and engage with Xero's personas and broadcast. And if you have any questions or would like to talk more, reach out to us at info@xerosolutions.com. And then also, as soon as we end this, there's going to be a quick survey that pops up on your browser. If you could please leave us some feedback and let us know what you want to see more of. If there's anything, if you are a current client or hopefully to be a soon client, if there's something that you're interested in and you want us to show us, let us know. We would appreciate it. And we hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank
Bye,
you.
team. Thanks for joining us. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks.